With 18 registered parties, Nigeria's political field is already crowded as the country prepares for elections in 2027. INEC's announcement that it has shortlisted 14 associations seeking registration as political parties could see that number grow. One group, the All Democratic Alliance, ADA, is hoping to set itself apart from the rest. Prominent politician Umar Ardo, who is one of the brains behind the group, says Nigerians need a strong and credible alternative to parties that have been in power in the country, including the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, and opposition parties such as the PDP and the Labour Party, LP. I'm joined now in the studio by prominent politician Umar Ardo, who is the convener of the Northern League of Democrats. Glad to have you join me this day on Prime Time.
Thank you very much.
Let me begin by saying it will be in order to say congratulations, right?
Thank you.
It will be in order, sure. You and ADA. But before we narrow the discussion down, let's start with an overview of this matter. Your take on 171 applications, 14 listed, 157 didn't cut it for the next level and the process. An overview.
Okay, thank you very much. What this means is that the Nigerian political participation is increasing. Over the years, we have had few number of political parties, in the area, and they have not been able to make a lot of impact in it. Only 3 political parties, so to say, have been dominant in the Nigerian politics since the return of power, democracy into the country in 1999. The PDP, the APC, and the APC is an amalgam of ANPP, ACN, and
a branch
ABGA.
of ABGA, yeah.
Yes. So these are the political parties that have been, governing the country. And you will agree with me that over the years, Nigeria's economy has been dwindling. Their politics is becoming terrible. Our unity is at stake, and insecurity, all sorts of vices have plagued the Nigerian state. Why? By all standards, Nigeria ought to have been standing shoulder to shoulder with any of the world major economies in the 25 years or is it 26 years since democracy returned to the country. But unfortunately, we have not been able to do so. Why? Because the political class that had taken over power in the country and managed its affairs have not been able, to give it what it takes, to drive the country into a state of development, because the class is visionless, the class is supine, the class is corrupt, the class is insensitive, and these are the things that drove some of us to say, let us look for an alternative. And it's not just us, not just this 14 that INEC has shortlisted. You can see 170 something. They made their intention, they wanted to do it. We know that there are politicians that you can say they are just trying to use politics in order to build up their pockets. But a whole lot of us are not that. We are patriotic, we have a clear vision, we know where to drive the country to, and we have our strategy to get to where we want to get.
Yes, an overview, so let's begin to break it down now. Your party cut it, like I said, 157 didn't cut it. Your party cut it among the 14. How does that make you feel? And what went into your getting this note from INEC? And what's the next level?
Okay, thank you. Actually, I commend INEC. I can say that today the Nigeria opposition is happy because INEC is working. This week, we have had INEC recognize the ADC leadership. So ADC leadership is happy. Then we have had INEC, shortlist some of us and many of us, are happy. The problem of Nigeria's opposition is not with INEC. It's not even necessarily with government. It is with the opposition itself. So until the opposition realizes that she is the problem of its own doing, we will not be able to push our opposition to a level that we will get the results that we hope to get.
I'm not cutting you short because I asked you what's the next level, but because of what you said now, which means you don't agree with the people who are saying, for example, that the ruling party is infiltrating these parties and causing the problems in these parties, like you have PDP, you have LP, who have had problems and problems.
There's a saying in the part of the country I come from, in Hausa. It said that, say bongo asage kadangare shiga. That means until there is a crack in the wall before the lizard gets entry. So if the opposition, if there is no crack, there's no way the government can come in. But if the government, if you give it the reason to come in, of course it will be very glad to come in. Why? Because it wants to put you down. So you are helping it, to put you down. It is a contest. It is just like, in the game of football where you make an error and expecting that the opponent should not utilize this error to score a goal. They will do so. So the problem of Nigeria's opposition is not necessarily with government and certainly not with INEC. It is with the opposition itself.
That's an interesting view, Has INEC communicated to your party, because they said they would do that within 24 hours, and then on the 17th, which is Tuesday next week,
yes,
you're expected to come for what they are calling physical verification. Have they communicated to your party?
Yeah, they have.
They have?
Yes.
So you're ready to go meet INEC by next week, 17th?
We are ready to go and meet INEC by next week, 17th.
Beautiful. INEC says that that meeting the criteria for on the listing does not equate to full registration.
Certainly not. There are certain requirements needed, and they are actually very easy to fulfill.
Okay.
If we just look at it very closely. You need to have, one, a national secretariat, then a functional national secretariat. By that, you have the various directorates of a political party. Then you need to have the executive, national executive pro tem, national executive of the party. And you need to have the name of the party, which we have ADA, All Democratic Alliance. Then you need to have a logo, which we have. You need to have a manifesto, which we have. You need to have a constitution that INEC will scrutinize and look at it. Is it in tandem with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Is it in tandem with the Electoral Act? Is it in tandem with Annex guidelines and regulations? So then you need to have offices, in similar offices at the state level, at least in 24 states of the Federation, as you have at the national level. And you have to also give evidence of either ownership of those properties that you are occupying as office, or
tenancy.
Or tenancy, for at least 1 year. And you need to give a clear profile of all your executive, your name, your address, your telephone number, your email address for national executive, your means of identification. That is it international passport? Is it this and that? Yes.
NIMSI.
So, yes. So these are the requirements. Then you need to bring your members of the board of trustees and so on. So once you satisfy this, you have satisfied it. And we have basically satisfied all these things in ADA. After Wednesday, when our chairman, and our secretary, we go to INEC, we go and meet with INEC, and INEC gives us, the code, and then gives us, opens its portal for uploading of these things. Then we will be ready and we will do it and fulfill it within the 30 days, bracket given by the commission.
Listening
so
to
I
you.
thank the commission, most sincerely for a job well done. INEC is working. Nigerians are happy.
INEC is working. It's interesting listening to you. Apparently you knew what you were going to do and you have everything that INEC wanted, so you were ready. What's the party's ideology? Because you know why I asked that? Because the discussion in quarters is that most political parties in Nigeria don't have an ideology.
Yeah.
What they deal with is stomach infrastructure.
Yeah.
Where the pendulum swings, they go where they can get their desire fulfilled.
Yeah.
So does your party have a clear-cut ideology that Nigerians can really identify with?
Certainly. Now, your ideology is encapsulated in your manifesto. Then, your constitution outlines the process of getting the manifesto, your manifesto implemented. We have a very clear ideology. Our ideology, like most of the other political parties' ideologies, we tend to get our society to be an egalitarian society, a society of equals, a society of national, a society that unites itself and forms a nation. Our nationhood has been trampled upon by political parties, dividing us on the basis of ethnicity, on the basis of religion, on the basis of section and region. Our ideology removes all this and tends to unite our people to form one cohesive and indivisible nation.
Good, fantastic. I'm going to see how I'm going to marry these two questions. Okay, but let me ask you this first. You listened to my opening statement.
Yes.
We now have about 18.
Yes.
Then you will add the 14.
Yes.
These are many parties.
Yes.
Do you think that this could give Tinubu a higher chance or a higher advantage because you now have broken down opposition? They're fractured. So, I mean, do you think this will probably give him a higher advantage?
No, having many political parties does not actually translate into having many candidates. The political parties are instruments of mobilization.
Okay.
The political parties, the more you have political parties, the more mobilized the country will be. And if these political parties have mobilized themselves and then fuse themselves and support a candidate in what you call alliances, not coalition, in an alliance of various groups, then it gives the incumbent even a more difficult chance of winning rather than what you are saying.
Now you have raised another question I have here. Explain to me, or to the viewer out there, what's the difference between alliances and coalition?
Okay.
And is your party going to go into a coalition with any other party, maybe like ADC? Because initially there was a talk about ADC now trying to work or adopt ADA before they had to get ADC. So is there any connection between your party and the ADC? And what's the difference between alliance and coalition?
Okay. Now, from the context of what is on the ground,
okay,
the national opposition coalition as we have, or maybe as we had, that was shared by our former Senate President David Mark. Various groups and individuals and other political parties came, or factions of political parties came together to form a coalition. And the coalition is supposed to fuse into one existing political party.
Okay.
And that was the position of the coalition. Until later, some of us came up with the idea that we need to register a new political party as the basis for the coalition. So there were some disagreements. So, but at the end of the day, politicians being what they are, they said, let us satisfy the two sides. Okay. Let us go and fuse into a political party, and then they fuse into ADC. I do not belong to that ADC. And then they said, let us go and let us also at the same time register a new political party, which is where I am. And then we went and then came up with the idea of the ADA. Not every member of the coalition is in ADC, and not every member of the coalition is in the ADA. But there is an understanding between them, and that will be the basis of the alliance. Now, an alliance, to answer your second question, the difference between the coalition and alliance, a coalition is where you fuse into one platform, and an alliance is the conglomeration of various platforms to agree on the line of action.
Fantastic. So an alliance will mean that you have, for example, ADA plus ADC plus, for example, PDP
plus
for
Labour
example,
and so
LP.
on. Yes.
That's the alliance.
That's the alliance. We come together and we say, this is the line of action we are going to take with regards to the 2027 presidential election, or at the state level, or at the local government level. It depends, on
So which means the question I asked you about a connection probably between ADA and ADC.
We are all products of the coalition. We're both PDP, both ADC and ADA are products of the National Opposition Coalition led by David Mark. Now, the problem is this. In my own opinion, and I express that opinion, that David Mark being the chairman of the coalition ought not to have been the chairman of any of the two sides, ought not to have been the chairman of ADC, and ought not to have been the chairman of ADA. Because if there is a problem between the ADC and the ADA, there will be no higher level that will now reconcile them. I would have said, and I suggested, that let him remain as the chairman of the National Opposition Coalition, now monitoring the activities of its two babies, the PDP, the ADC, and then the ADA, and then work towards merging them together, works towards giving harmony where there is, a kind of discrepancy, in their relationship.
Okay, let me ask you this question this way. What are the chances of ADC? Oh, well, now ADA. Okay, maybe you could also add, what are the chances of, for example, ADA, your party, just listed, but not fully registered?
No.
What are the chances of ADA unseating the incumbent Tinubu and APC in 2027? A party stalwart said that incumbency alone will give Tinubu 40%. That the opposition must work together, which is what we've been discussing, to be able to unseat him. So how uphill is it a task to get this done?
Okay, first and foremost, first things first. ADA should first get registered. That's our major objective.
Yeah,
now.
okay. Finalize the process.
Yes. Now, if we get registered, then the second one is, what are the chances for either the ADC or the ADA or the combination of the two, and more probably, to unseat the incumbent?
Okay.
Unlike what most people think, that incumbency, as you now quoted somebody saying that 40% of incumbent,
he already has 40%.
He already has 40%. Now, let me tell you, the advantages of incumbent are basically three. One is name. If you say Bola Tinubu, even the boy on the street knows Bola Tinubu. Why? Because he's the president. So name is important in politics. Then two, he has the control of the machinery of government. And in a system where rule of law and constitutionalism and institutions are weak, like in the case of our country, he can direct the security agencies to play his game. He will have unfettered access to state treasury, and then he will have a structure, already established governmental structure that will be of help. These are the advantages of an incumbent, but he has a huge disadvantage also. And like this regime, where its policies and programs and projects have caused hardship and disillusionment in society, incumbency becomes a disadvantage. It is for the opposition to now narrow on this, come up with the right messages, and come up with the right means of driving this message into the society, and the opposition and the incumbent is as good as gone. We did that in 2015.
Yeah.
I have told you here, and I have said it severally, we came up with the idea of forming the APC and then using the APC and the weaknesses, the disadvantages of the PDP government then to get the government out. And in this administration, it has even triple of these disadvantages of the PDP government. So as far as I'm concerned, the incumbency in this political dispensation now is a huge disadvantage that is a huge political capital for the opposition to use only if the opposition knows how to use it.
So their messaging must be right.
The messages must be right. The means of delivering of the message must be right. And the time, because strategy is very critical. Time is very critical in strategy. If you come early, you mess it up. If you come late, you mess it up. So you have to time it and give it, at the right time.
Like a pregnant woman, if you deliver by 7 months, there's a problem. You have to go to the incubator.
You have to go to the incubator.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
If you get it by 9, then you're good to go.
Surely.
There is this issue. The chairman of the INEC, Mahmoud Jega.
No, Mahmoud Yakubu.
Mahmoud Yakubu, sorry.
Yes.
I mixed it up. INEC says its hands, it's talking about electioneering before 150 days. The Constitution says 150 days, 5 months or so. Then 24 hours before the day of election. Whereas you pay $500,000 if you flout 24 hours before the day of election. That's what's in the Constitution. As far as the 150 days is concerned, no penalty. So INEC says its hands are tied because some political parties, even the APC, they're beginning to do sorts of campaigns. What do you think about that? Flouting that and the fact that INEC says its hands are tied, the Constitution and all that?
In the first place, INEC has no means of enforcing these things. She can only revoke. The powers of INEC are limited to the political parties themselves not in actually their activities, but in what, for example, if we fail to meet one requirement, INEC will say no. For example, the ADC was unveiled since 2nd of July. But it's only 3 days ago, I suppose, that the new leadership has been recognized.
By INEC.
By INEC. Why? Because it did not fulfill certain requirements of the Constitution and of the regulations of the Commission. So INEC has the powers to say, no, we cannot do so. But where a politician goes, to erect, a billboard, INEC will say, look, you ought not to erect this billboard. But INEC does not have the means to enforce of bringing down this billboard.
So what do we do?
So that is why we have always, insisted that rules, regulations, laws, and the Constitution must not be suggestions. They must be binding on every operator of the system. Where the government that has the means and the powers to coerce is the one doing it, what do? The only thing you do is to run to the court. The court can give the orders. If they don't obey, the court does not have the police to go there and say, bring him down. The court can only stamp his red stamp, on an order. But what can a bailiff do? Bailiff cannot come into my house. If I have a security man in that, I say, don't come in, and he can't come.
This might be too early for you, but let me still put it in. PDP has ceded the presidential slot to the South. Is your party tinkering with the idea of this South-North issue? Have you started discussing it?
No, first things first. We are just, getting into this. We have to first get registered, then we have to now mobilize.
But what do you think about it anyway?
No, the issue of zoning is an issue that politicians need to take into account if they have to balance the system. We need the system balance. So if you say you will just open it like this, it's just like federal character. Federal character is meant to give other groups
fairness,
that are so small that by themselves they cannot fight it and get it by themselves, because they are so small, they are so weak in the system. So the federal character is doing it in order to give everybody the sense of belonging. It is like they say, let us look at the big picture. What is the use of the big picture if my small face is not reflected on that big picture? So we want a small face of everybody reflected in the big Nigerian picture. And that is why we need the zoning.
A sense of, give everyone a sense of belonging.
Belonging.
Thank you so much. Umar Ardo, once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Convener of the Northern League of Democrats, who his party was among the 14 listed ADA. Wishing you the best. Thank you for being here.
I appreciate it. Thank you.